Hi guys, Chris here with Super Savvy Travelers. Hey, I wanted to share with you some Italian property pitfalls and how to avoid a bureaucratic nightmare. Now it sounds a little bit vague and whatnot, but I have some very simple tips. These are just a few. You really have to take our course. A lot of stuff is in our course, and go join Patreon because I upload documents there. In fact, I've got another one ready to go very soon, which I'm going to tell you all about. But, I make a lot available to our unpaid guys, so it's worth it to go just join and see what comes down the pike. But there's a lot of stuff for our paid guys that is super valuable stuff. You make a little folder or binder with all the documents that I give you, and you'd be pretty armed and dangerous as far as that goes. Anyway, okay, so basically the whole property purchase process, like you've decided, boom, we're going to Italy, boom, we're going to go buy something. Pretty much decided where you want to buy. That's super, super vital because there's no sense assembling teams all over Italy, although we have some in different parts of Italy. But, decide, like say Tuscany, okay, well, first of all, you need an agent. Now you have to understand the agent's role. As I've said multiple times on the channel, but I'll say it again because there's new people, there is no multiple listing service in Italy. So if you have an agent, he can't show you, let's say you're at Casabella, he can't take you over unless they have an agreement, take you over to Gesticasa and show all their properties over there. If you want a property that's listed with Gesticasa, you have to go to Gesticasa. If you want one from Casabella, you have to go to Casabella. So it makes things very, well, it just adds time and steps and things like that. And if you don't speak English, it's a problem. A lot of them don't respond to emails. Of course, our guys do. Thank you for that. They're wonderful. But a lot of them don't respond to emails, especially if it's in English. They're just, some of them don't. So it just is that way. You have to be knocking on doors and showing up in the middle of the day and stuff like that if you're actually going to be looking for houses. However, I will put in a bid for our services. That's what we do actually. We have different packages available, and we can, call and make appointments with the agents, line it up so that you can the goal is when you come into town, you have everything lined up that aligns with your goals and purposes as far as what kind of house you want. So you don't waste time looking at ruins when you really don't want a ruin, and you don't waste time trying to get in touch with agents and trying to set things up and all of this other stuff. We do all of that for you, which is really nice because we speak Italian. So that's only one of the services involved in our packages. But the agent works, I'm not going to say he works for the seller, but I would say that his main interest is in the seller because he has a contract with the seller. And they won't have a contract with you until you go into contract on a property. Generally, I've never seen anybody say, okay, yeah, I've never seen that. I don't think that even exists. It's not even a thing. You can get a buyer's agent, quote unquote. It's unusual and strange, but I have had people do that. And it's also then they go ahead and they make the appointments with stuff and they show stuff. They don't get a commission. You have to pay them separately. And then you still have to pay the other agent's commissions on top of that. So you're going to pay 3% of the market value of the property generally. Sometimes they try to get you for 4, but get it down to 3. You're going to pay 3% of the market value of the property as an agency commission. So if you have a buyer's agent, you're going to pay the 3% that's with the listing agent, and you're going to pay another commission on top to the buyer's agent that you have, which might be worth it. If you don't hire us to do that kind of thing, it might be worth it to do that. So it's all up to you depending on your circumstances. But know that going in, that the interest is in selling the house. So our agents are very, very good, and they're very honest and everything else. I've never had anybody misrepresent anything, but I've seen other agents misrepresent all up and down the line. I had one guy, I've told this story so many times because I was standing there with my mouth open like a goldfish, and we were standing on a terrace. Underneath the terrace was the driveway, right? The carport. And the lady that I took to this place said, "Can I put a pool up here?" And he goes, "Yeah, you can put a pool up here. Look underneath it. You can't put a pool up here. Even I know that, and I'm not an architect." And Antonella was with us. I go, "Antonella, can you put a pool up here?" He's like, "No." And I said, "Look, don't lie to my guys. Don't do it. I didn't want to use this guy in the first place because I know he did that, but they really wanted to see this property." So anyway, a lot of times they'll just tell you stuff to get you off their back and make the sale. You know, one of the houses we bought, you know, there was a whole lot of moisture in one room, a lot. And we figured it probably that section of the roof had to be redone. He goes, oh, it's probably just a loose roof tile, maybe just $100 to get it. But no, there was a whole terrace up there we didn't even know about. And on top of that, it was leaking and had to be totally redone. So there was a section of terrace, and I think it probably was maybe 5,000 to 8,000 euros to fix it, which we anticipated. It's not a loose tile when you have mold all over the inside of a room. It's not a loose tile. Anyway, we figured as much, and we figured that it would have to be remediated, and it did. But the fact is that that's what he told us. Oh, it's probably a loose tile, blah, blah, blah. No. Anyway, my point is, look, don't listen, okay? And agents, they can be very knowledgeable, but they are not building professionals, and you need a building professional, a Geometra, architect, engineer, to go through the property for you and really assess it from a professional standpoint. Now, let's go over those three terms, because there's a difference. The Geometra goes to school for 5 years to get an understanding and be able to do renovations and write up floor plans and things like that, okay? An architect goes to those 5 years, the Geometra 5 years, and then he goes to another 5 years dealing with other issues, dealing with histories, dealing with the aesthetics part, okay? An engineer has the 5 years of a Geometra, but then he goes on for really the engineering viewpoint. So if you get an architect, you're gonna get somebody that's really got a bent toward keeping things, you know, in keeping with the character, in keeping with the age of the house, in keeping with whatever you want to keep with, and the aesthetics. It's all about the aesthetics. Engineers are really all about putting the thing back together so that it's sealed up and it works. They can have nice aesthetics. The one that we used in Mola was very nice. Our architects like Lorella and Antonello are just, they're very aesthetically oriented, and honest to gosh, their stuff is unbelievable. So that's the difference between architect, engineer, and Geometra. So of course you're going to need to have the property assessed by them. Now, another thing they need to look at very, very closely, and this I would do more with an engineer or an architect. A Geometra could do it too, I'm sure. Permits. I've seen some nightmarish abusive properties, meaning they don't have permits, right? So basically somebody decided that they were going to put up, you know, another wing on the house. I saw one, oh, this one was so bad. Beautiful place. I was like, oh, I'm going to put this on a channel. It's got somebody to snap it up right away. And then the agent pulled me aside. He said, you know that granny's quarter downstairs? Like, they had this whole wing, right? It was a big bedroom, kitchen, like an apartment with a bathroom and a little drive up and garage area. And the house was priced as if that were legit footage. And he said, that part is abusive. And I went, okay. And I looked at the outside, and the fence was right there. And I go, isn't there some sort of setback from the fence? He goes, oh yeah. I'm like, ooh, don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Some of it can't be remediated, some can. If you can remediate them, fine, great. There's probably a penalty and some taxes to pay, but some of them can't. They have to be torn out, which is a nightmare. If you paid an extra 100,000 for this section or 80,000 for this section down below, and then you have to pay to have it torn apart and then put it back together, I mean, that's ridiculous. It's horrible. It's a huge problem. So make sure you avoid that by getting your architect, engineer, or Geometra to pull the permits and make sure that they match the floor plans. The floor plans, I keep saying it because it's so important. The floor plans are everything. Another thing you're probably going to need is an attorney, and you need the attorney to go over the contracts. You need the attorney to go over and make sure that all the checks are done. There's no mortgages, there's no liens on the property, there's no I don't know what all else. I mean, they check a lot of different things, and they make sure you don't get yourself in hot water on the contracts. Now, when you first go in, you can make an offer on a property, and that's if you want to go get your checks and everything done. You put down a minimal deposit and then get your checks done, and then you go to the compromesso. Now, the compromesso is legally binding, and you put down a deposit. Now, before I say anything more, go over and join Patreon, because I put up a PDF that goes over the differences and heads up, this is what you want to look out for. So yeah, there's a difference between the offer letter and the compromesso, and they both bind you to different things. So you need to know that fully, and your attorney will help you through that process. Then there's the act. he needs to make sure that the language in the act has everything covered that you need to have in it. Another thing about the compromiso, that's where you're going to put in the conditions and things about your purchase. Like say if the furniture comes with it, you're going to indicate that in there. But you also have to list the furniture and send pictures of the furniture, because we've seen situations where the furniture came with the house, and then they took out the good furniture and put in ugly furniture, and then the person had to not only take that furniture and not only paid extra for that furniture, or failed to negotiate further because the furniture was included. So make sure that's in there. Also make sure you put in there that they are to clear out the property before you arrive. If you don't want anything that's in the property, make sure that you say they have to clear it out and clean the place up before you go. It's not a given, it's not understood. And we have seen situations where people have purchased houses and they walked in and it's full of junk. It's dirty, it's junk nobody wants, it's broken stuff, bike wheels and stuff like that. And nobody wants to confront it, so they just left it there. So anyway, my point is make sure they clean it up and then do a walkthrough right before you go to the act. And if it's not clean, you cancel the act and get them to clean it up before they do it. Motivation. So that doesn't happen too often. Usually if you're very clear about what you want in the compromiso and the offer letter and everything else there, it's smooth as silk, no problem ever. But you really should have an attorney to look at things. And we like Nick Metta at Studio Legale Metta. He's been fabulous with our guys, not only for contracts and things like that. And we've had some pretty insane contracts with our businesses and whatnot. He's helped us set them all up, but also residency. He's really good, he and his team. So yeah, just make sure you have him go through and do his thing. He's very thorough. Okay, one more thing about the floor plans and the act and everything else. In the act, the notario is going to give you the floor plans and he's going to go, are they correct? And you're going to look at them. If they are not correct, if you sign it, you're hosed. I don't know that there's any sort of remedy for that, because you signed a contract and you asserted in the contract that it was correct. And we've seen people, in fact, we just got an email from somebody, well, the terrace wasn't included. No, you look at the floor plans, make sure it has everything that's been represented to you, because it's not like California. Like if I, as a real estate agent in California, said, yeah, the terrace comes with it. By the way, this house will withstand 100 earthquakes, I could lose my shirt off that, but that's not true in Italy. You'd have a very uphill battle trying to go after an agent, especially after you signed in the act that those floor plans were okay. So I hope that made that clear. What I would do, get the floor plans that they have, walk the property, make sure they're correct, take them with you to the act, and then at the act, when he gives you the floor plans, you look at them together. And if they match, only then do you sign and say, yes, that's the case. Now, that's not something the attorney can do for you. He's not going to walk your property for you. He's going to assume that the floor plans are correct, unless you want to pay him to do that. But it's just easy to do it yourself. And one final thing, the Certificate of Habitability. And why is that important? That is a certificate that certifies that it is, fully habitable and that it's been brought up to speed as far as retrofits and stuff that you need to actually live there safely. There's a whole thing I could do on it. I don't think you're interested. I'm not. So the important thing, though, is if you're going to rent out your property as a B&B, or if you're ever going to sell it to somebody who's going to rent it as a B&B, that document is vitally important, because you need to get a CHIN number, which is a unit identification number for short-term rentals. And you are not allowed to rent out your short-term rental without that. So you need to get the CHIN number. In order to get the CHIN number, you need to get the Certificate of Habitability, and then you can just move forward on all of that. So these are just a few things, that I bring up, things that I think you should go, and stop and go, look, there's a whole lot more to it than we thought. Take our course, number 1. Hire us. We're in Tuscany, we're in Calabria, we're in Puglia. So if you need help in those areas, we are happy to jump in and take you through the process. We have our teams all set up in Mola di Bari, which is a wonderful town. I think it's the next town to boom in Puglia. We are in Torrita di Siena, which, boy, it's already starting to get hot up there. We're so happy about that. We've got Mirko, we've got Lorella, the architect, and she's got all her building teams and everything else. It's really exciting. And of course, in Calabria, there's always Antonello, there's Mimo Linza, there's all the guys down there, and of course, all our agency associates and everybody else. We've got some really fabulous teams. And I don't know why we seem to just arrive in a place and find all these amazing professionals that are super diligent, super responsive, super wanting to make you happy and everything else. So anyway, there you go. Take the course, join Patreon and get all the free handouts that are over there. Hire us when you're ready and we'll be all set. So I'll see you soon, guys. Take care.